Hey, I'm Brendan.
And I'm Audra.
I'm a sociologist that specializes in emotions, masculinity, and gender dynamics.
And I'm a psychologist, and I'm specialized in therapy for men.
And we trigger a lot of people in the work that we do, and we get triggered. And one of the ways to actually move through it is to face it. And so we're here to explore things that trigger us and other people in this work.
Welcome to This Triggers Me.
So we're about halfway recording this first season, and
I'm having fun. Are you having fun?
sometimes. And why I hesitate is because, like, this topic, let's say, it's about the manosphere and red pilled. And being a recovery people pleaser, it is really hard to go into topics. I'm finding it really hard going into topics every time that I know I'm not going to make everyone happy. And what gets worse is when I don't make myself happy because I'm
trying to make everybody else happy.
Yeah, which is the dynamic that I've grown up experiencing. So I want to, like, slap it out of me, but I also know that compassion is better. I can't just override that.
Making this podcast is more personally grueling than I anticipated it would be. Like and like the creative process of this fun. I love these conversations. Like, you and I oftentimes have to stop ourselves outside of recording from getting into these conversations because we just, like, save that for the podcast. Like, we should talk about, like, it's something I'm so passionate about. And we want this, we want this to be more than just us showing up here as, like, our professional, academic, or practitioner selves and speaking about these things in that, like, maybe, like, protected way that we do.
Yeah.
Like, I want to bring myself to this, and that's hard.
Why is it so hard?
Because I think at the core of it for me is, like, wanting to make sure everybody else is okay. I know that, like, that's a part of me for sure, but, like, my experience, like, the way I live that is, like, I'm always just, like, focused outward. Like, how are you? How's everybody else? What are my clients going to think? How's this going to read? Like, I'm always tracking that, even when I'm not even trying. Like, that is the mask I wear, is I'm fine if you're fine. And so I'm not necessarily, like, it doesn't feel like people pleasing per se. It's just, like, tracking.
Yeah.
And, like, keeping a finger on the pulse. Like, we good? Everybody good? Everybody going to be good? And, like, ultimately, it's like, I want you to be good with me too. But it's hard. Like, I have to, like, force myself to be like, no, Audra, you, like, not just you, the therapist, not just you, the wife, not just you, like.
What it'd be like to show up.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It feels risky for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like this world is so divided right now and for a while. And it's like, oh, I so want people. Even right now, it's like, oh, if I say this, it's going to be too egotistical. It's like, I want people to heal.
Yeah.
And I want people to see humanity in each other. And it's like, if I can figure out the algorithm.
You want to help people heal.
Yes. Yeah.
That's more than you just want people to heal.
Yeah. I'm happy with people healing without me.
I know, but, like, you want to help people heal.
Yeah.
Is that a hard thing to own?
It is.
Why?
Because it feels lofty. It feels pretentious. It feels a bit grandiose.
He says to the psychologist who has a private practice and sees clients every day. I know, but, like, that, I'm like challenging you. I'm challenging you because I feel like I want to own it, and I, like, proudly own that, like, yeah, I want to help people heal. And so I'm curious why it's hard for you to own it.
Because it makes it feel like, oh, I know the tricks.
Oh.
Or,
like, I got the secret sauce. I figured it out.
Like, that's what triggers me with a lot of pop psychology online is, like, oh, let's market down these crazy different things in pop psychology, and, like, this is the thing. That's
a big reason why this is so hard for me, is because, like, I'm, like, in the mess in my own life. Like, I'm in the work. I'm in the, like, growth. I feel like part of this, even, like, recording this podcast, like, has, like, cracked me open in ways that I was not anticipating or frankly wanting it to necessarily, but just feeling like I'm glad these things happen, but it's so hard. Like I'm in it. And so it's hard to show up here, maybe like imperfect, maybe is part of it, because I think I know I want to exude a like, I got my shit together. I'm good.
Yeah, what my own personal therapist once told me is that I was like, no, I know I can't achieve perfection, because I think if I could do this perfectly, then everyone's gonna calm down their temperatures and like see love and see each other more. But I'm like, no, I know that's unrealistic, but like I still feel like I should be perfect like 70% of the time. And my therapist was like, if you feel like you can stipulate 70% of the time perfect, that's still perfection. That like you think you can just have this quota of messiness, and then everything else has to be together. It's like you're trying to figure out an algorithm for healing. And I actually in my heart, don't believe there's an algorithm for healing. Like it's going to look so different and there's multiple paths to healing.
Why are you worried about being imperfect here?
One, because I know that confidence sells, and this actually really ties into the Manosphere and Red Pill of like, one of the things that draws boys and men to that is that they offer black and white guidance, and being in the gray is less viably popular.
No, it's not very appealing.
Yeah. So like, I do think actually we do need to simplify our message. Like I think there's a merit and valid to just simplifying and not getting lost in all this other stuff. But I want to show up. What was the question?
Why you're worried about being imperfect here? Why you're pulled towards people pleasing?
Yeah, I'm seeing the polarization of like, oh, I don't want to change the world, but then, or I don't want to admit that I want people to heal because that feels too high and mighty. But then it's like, oh, because if I show up imperfectly, then people won't heal. And so that is interesting to observe.
It seems like a bit of a trap.
Yeah. So what, like, just, I want to just name that. Yeah.
Yeah. We felt like it was, I'm glad we're kind of checking in. We've filmed some episodes. We've got more to come. And I think it's important that we stay, I want to stay in this. And it's really, really easy for me to kind of float above it.
It's so easy to avoid this. Yeah.
What's coming up?
I'm like, I so hope that future Brendan in 50 minutes has been okay with people being upset. Because I'd rather show up and not be upset with myself for showing up. It's like I don't want to show up just like full confident about everything I say, like be fundamentalist about my own thing, because that's not genuine either. But like, I just want to show up naturally. So the word authentic.
Yeah.
And the authentic part of me is like, oh, there's some things I want to say very clearly, and there's some things that I want to hold more nuance for. So let's get into it, and I'll try to own it when if that comes up. If I feel like I have a lot of people in my mind.
And I will too. Like, I know that I worry about, especially just like the men I work with. I worry about breaking trust or, hurting any of those relationships by just, being so fully here. Because as a therapist, I do appropriately filter a lot out of those relationships.
Yeah.
Because it's not about me. And so I deserve to have something be all about me. But it is hard to give myself permission to just like have this be about me and for me.
You. Yeah. All right. So the question about the Manosphere is there truth in the Manosphere?
Yeah. Is it actually harmful, or is there something to it?
Yeah. My quick answer, absolutely. The Manosphere has truth in it.
What do you even mean by that though? Like when you say truth in it, like, does it have something to offer?
Does it have something to offer? And does it also, does it have something to offer?
Is there validity? Like, are there valid things for men to learn?
Yeah. And so let's define the manosphere
Yeah.
again to start with. 'Cause
Yeah.
I actually don't love the term because it's just too broad.
Do you know where it came from?
I don't.
Yeah, me neither. I don't.
Yeah. But like at its most basic, it's media that primarily targets and has an audience of men.
It's like a huge umbrella.
That's a huge umbrella, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it's too conflated with like anything. But like I would say the part that I really would want to focus and spend more time on would be the red-pilled aspect of the manosphere.
Yeah, and I want to focus on like the fringe to the red pill, like the Venn diagram overlap.
So my colleagues in Australia, actually, I just saw them. They had like 3 categories for how they
Okay.
divided the content. So there's the on-ramp content, level 1 and level 2.
Okay.
So the on-ramp content is just content that generally appeals to men,
Yeah.
like what we said. And there's nothing inherently problematic
Yep.
about it. A lot of it is like workout, self-discipline, a lot of athletic.
Yep. Sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like heavily on physical fitness.
Yeah.
And sports and video games can be part of that too.
Mm-hmm.
And then level 1 would be more like rigid ideals around masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
It would be more, this is how they categorized it, more like the finance bros, cryptocurrencies, like
Mm-hmm.
unsolicited financial advice, and getting more into that, which I actually do see a lot of schools right now telling me how many of their teenage boys are gambling all the time and how much debt they're in. So that's becoming a bigger issue. And then level 2 is where I would say is the red pilled movement, which is like openly misogynistic against women. And also in their research, they found like a teenage boy being exposed just to the algorithm without liking any content, sees anti-woman content within like a minute of being on the algorithm. So
On just like
just being a teenage,
a
entering
clean
slate.
slate teenage boys algorithm.
Yeah. And for girls, like kind of the equivalent opposite. It's not equivalent in the content, but what teenage girls get exposed to within minutes is like eating disorder content, mental health, anxiety content, and body image.
Yeah. Makes sense. Okay.
So, so the manosphere, I think there's on-ramp stuff.
Will you describe like what does red pill mean?
Okay, so yeah, red pilled comes from the Matrix. That idea of the blue pill or the red pill is that like if you take the red pill, then you're awakened to what's actually going on in the world. And so what the red pilled movement is really about is that, okay, what is actually going on in the world around gender is that women are now the advantaged ones in society and
Right.
men are the victims.
Right. Women have the power. We're the ones graduating from college.
Yeah.
We're the ones getting the high paying jobs.
Yes,
We're
and
the
the-
ones in
and-
the driver's seat.
A huge part of that is that the red pill is that believing that women actually do want high value men financially and looks. And so there's like looks maxing. There's a lot about physical appearance. It's a lot about like there's pickup artists. There's other what's fringe or what's not nowadays, but like men going their own way. There's passport bros who are like modern feminism has dismantled the dating scene, so we need to import women with traditional values from different countries. So those are passport bros. There's lots of different trends within the red pilled of like hitting the wall. Like women after a certain age, they're useless. Like actually, I just showed you some.
You showed me a video online that
Triggered.
triggered me. I think I threw something. Like whatever I was holding, I threw it because it was alarming and aggressively misogynistic.
Yeah,
but
against-
packaged in this like
It was basically like, yeah, women
cute,
are
harmless.
It was like 40-year-old men being like, women our age are all ruined. Like we got to go for their children.
yeah.
So yeah, those like that red pilled part, I would say red pilled, absolutely. I'm against. I have no problem critiquing that. Manosphere is so ambiguous, and there's like actually learning, like bettering yourself, like physical fitness.
Yeah.
Like I think the manosphere is the epitome of the saying anything can be a medicine or a drug depending on your intent. So the wider manosphere is like working out can absolutely be this great pill, great medicine for health and healing. But also there's like a trend in mental health of like, oh, your girlfriend broke up with you, see you at the gym. It's like the part of it's like, okay, maybe you can find community at the gym and process your emotions. That's great. But it's like when people say my gym is my therapy, yes, physical movement can be a part of healing, but it's not the same.
Yeah. Yep. And I even have a reaction to, I guess, as like disgusting and harmful and triggering for me as a woman as like red pill content can be. And again, like this is my mind going to like, okay, and like, I don't know, so like sometimes I feel like empathy is a blessing and a curse. Like, I feel like sometimes my empathy can take me so far that it takes me like away from compassion for myself.
Okay.
And because like I think, and like I mean this is part of my job, is like I believe I'm capable of finding empathy for most anyone. And so I think about like, well, if this like even red pill content is like so appealing and like intoxicating and like creating community and like, okay, well, what is it offering that these men aren't receiving elsewhere?
Yes.
And like what void, what need, what like pain is it tending to?
Yes.
Not that I am condoning it or saying this is a healthy method, but like it's filling a gap.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. And like, I would say even within the red pill, like the stuff that's actually anti-women and stuff like that, I'm not defending that at all.
No.
But like, I just don't want to give the impression that everything red pilled is just that content. Like it's also super emotionally suppressive as well. Like it's not just anti-women, but that is a
No.
huge theme of it.
Yes.
Yes.
And like you said to start, like when, like I think something that's really enticing about a lot of this content is how
It offers
confident it's about black and white. Like here's the solution. Here's the problem. Here's the solution.
So when I do workshops, I actually have a slide that's like, here's all the things we should learn from the Manosphere. And these are why boys and men are drawn to it. And yeah, confidence is a huge thing. Like humans in general are attracted to confidence. And that goes back to the beginning of this episode of like, yeah, being in that gray space, like that's a bit harder to hold. So but it's even like, I came across this research that we're even drawn to British accents more so. So I don't know if that's a passive colonialism, but like we trust them and view them more as an authority when we hear British accents. So I'll stop my...
No, please don't. God, no. Please don't.
I won't. So black and white guidance.
Yeah.
They offer like clear ways to be.
Yeah. A rule, like a rule book, a manual.
Yeah,
Here's
manual.
how to do it.
Yeah, here's how to do it. So it's like, okay, if I do this and this, I
Great.
get the girl I want, the money
Yeah.
I want, the job I
I'm
want.
gonna be happy. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna have the life I want.
Yeah.
Done.
And so many boys and men feel like, and there's some truth to this, a lot of truth, that the messages given to boys and men around masculinity tend to be negatively framed in terms of this is how not to be a man. And
Yeah.
so they give a
Don't
ton
do
of
this.
positive
Yeah. Okay. Do
aspects.
this instead. Yeah,
Yeah.
Do this.
Yeah.
Which is also how change sticks. Like we're gonna be much more likely to change and have those changes be sustainable if it's like what to do versus what to suppress and not to.
Yeah. Yeah,
So, like,
absolutely.
Very useful.
Yeah. And because sports and athleticism is so prioritized, they model a type of masculinity that appeals to a teenage boy. Because physical fitness, like I listened to a podcast clip one time of this like young man being like, I will never listen to someone's argument if I can beat them up. Like they're only going to listen to someone's
Wow.
argument if that other person is physically more imposing to them. And so it's this weird space of like these men on these podcasts, like some of them, like you take the Liver King, for example.
I don't know who that is.
Okay, that's probably great that you don't.
I feel like you dig into that side of the internet and I encounter it accidentally.
Yeah, like,
I think you seek it out.
but his voice even changed before he was this in the Manosphere realm, where it's like he's talks in this gruff, he only eats liver and all this stuff. He's had tons of controversies and he's not nearly as prominent anymore because of them. Anyways, it's like you see this posturing that, like, when I work with teenage boys, it's like, no kidding, there's a draw to them because they are almost like living a lot of the teenage boys. It's such an immature adolescent
But it's
way.
also, it's entertaining.
Yeah,
it's entertaining.
So that's also one of the benefits of the Manosphere.
Yeah,
is that they don't talk about serious stuff all the time.
Like, I think, I'll be honest, like, one of my concerns about us even making this this podcast is like, does anybody give a shit? Like, is this entertainment?
Or does it give a shit to the people that
we want to listen?
Yeah.
Like, are we just going to stay in an echo chamber? Because, like, is this? It's not as entertaining as I would tune in. Just I'm intrigued about the Liver King now.
Yeah.
Like it's entertainment.
Yeah, and it's like, even if you look at the research on social emotional learning, is that you have to change your strategy between kindergarten grade 7 versus grade 8 and grade 12. Is that the skills about emotional intelligence don't change, but the buy-in changes, where you can teach the skills to K to 7 and they'll implement them. But grade 8 to 12 is that you have to actually have they have to view that I'm going to learn this emotional intelligence skill because it gives me more status, or because I see someone with high status also using this. Someone I respect is using this emotional intelligence skills. So like, sometimes you have to kind of throw the carrot of, hey, increasing emotional intelligence correlates to actually higher sports performance, but also more success and stronger relationships. So if you want like relationships with children, higher satisfaction in your partnership and with your children, higher emotional intelligence is a huge part of that, and more success in the workplace. So like, getting the buy-in is huge for teenagers. And the Manosphere is great at capitalizing on the buy-in.
Yeah. Well, and I would argue that it's more acceptable to have content about like being in the gym and meal prepping and, you know, whatever you're, versus like loving your family. Like like you said, you're modeling it, right?
Yeah.
So like, you're also like living and breathing something that is maybe like a more engaging content, or just more acceptable behavior from men. Like, there's more room for those things to like these people to show up and embody it and be like, do this and you'll be like this.
Yeah.
Versus the appeal of like, do this and like be a great dad.
Yeah, because the Manosphere is resorting to these rigid messages that most boys are growing up with anyways. So it's not like you have to
fits. No, it
yeah,
fits.
it's like, okay, so then I have to get muscles, be strong, make a lot of money.
I've been trying to do that for years anyway.
Yeah, but like, even though there's like over 350 research papers that show like, more you adhere to those things, like, that doesn't actually give you more contentment or fulfillment. Like, yes, putting your whole value in money is not great for your mental health and for others.
Yeah.
Like, fathers are spending more time with their children now, and like that, the ability for the father to reflect on their own emotions and to express their emotions is a huge indicator and correlation of how well they enjoy fathering. And it's weird though that you ask people in the Manosphere, or any men in general, but men more in the Manosphere, actually like prioritize family like as a value of wanting to be a husband and a father even more. So it's like, there's this really strong value in it, but the things that they're
Arguably like a patriarchal value.
Yeah. Like, it's the double-edged sword in the sense that, okay, here's some truth to the Manosphere, is that women are less likely to marry down the educational gap. Like, so if a woman has this degree, they'll marry someone with that
Degree or higher.
But what mediates that, so if someone doesn't have the degree, is having more financial. So like, and going back to the previous episode, is like, that would be an example of a patriarchal system that like a lot of people are buying into, and it would be stupid and erroneous to say that only men are bought into this system. That like, oh, women too, like if they only want their man to make money and stuff like that, that's easily a double bind that many men might find themselves in. And so it'd be wrong of me to not acknowledge that there's some truth to what people even in the red pill are saying around gender dynamics, that women only want this good looking tough man, and there is women out there who definitely
that can be very true.
Yeah. But they also, research shows, they over exaggerate and overestimate how much money and looks are to women, and they undervalue how much personality and I forget the other one is, and that's more important to women. So yeah, it speaks to a subset, And it's also like a MLM. It's just self-regurgitating in this
but
multi-layer
it
marketing.
Works. Like, and it's powerful.
Yeah.
I feel like there's this like, even if we talk about the Manosphere as this like very broad umbrella, it feels like, I don't know, my outside looking in, I'm like, they all seem pretty happy to be under that umbrella and like hanging out with each other and on each other's podcasts and boosting each other up, and not necessarily, at least again from an outsider's perspective, trying to cut each other down.
They have a better ecosystem.
Totally.
Yeah. So like two major critiques, but those not in the Manosphere red pilled, like is that we need better messaging and we need more messaging. Like, and that's where the Manosphere.
What do you mean by we?
Anyone who doesn't want people, boys and men, guided towards these very rigid and harmful views of women, of themselves, like demonstrably that these rigid norms of masculinity, like there's Equimundo did this research that the men most inside the man box of like rigid gender roles and how they view women and what their role is, have like higher rates of suicide by like a significant amount, but they have a greater sense of purpose in life. So it doesn't pan out in like reality about like, do they actually live their lives of having a great sense of purpose, but they feel like they do. And that is what matters. Even though I can tell so many men that this is harmful, but if it doesn't feel harmful,
it doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter. And I like did a post on this on TikTok one time and like trying to prize apart like men who leave the man box have, it's not a huge spread, but they are more likely to have a less sense of purpose in life. And so men were like, well, why the heck would I ever leave? Like, even though I'm saying like there's tons of harm being in this place, but if it feels good, if it feels like it has purpose, this requires the discomfort of having some existential crisis. Like you need to actually deal with the tension of like, oh my goodness, if I'm changing my beliefs here of like, if my value as a man isn't just in my looks and working out and job, but my family actually wants me to provide emotional safety and support, then that is like a reckoning.
Okay, so then here's like, we can talk about that on like the individual level, right? And like the internal struggle and that reconciliation for a man. I am showing up online talking about that emotional intelligence and tuning into your authentic self, and men finding themselves outside of somewhat like rigid gender roles. And I get feedback all the time that once men engage with my content, they start getting fed Manosphere content. I mean, that is a power outside of an individual where like they may actually be like, okay, yeah, I do want more emotional intimacy in my relationships. And this, maybe I would go to therapy. But then the power of all this other content, which is also like overlapping to a certain extent. Like it's not like all that content is wrong or bad or harmful.
Yeah.
But it is a quick, I think, slippery slope in a very different direction than what I'm hoping to encourage for men.
Didn't you even tell me that there's like women who post content for men's mental health and then men go on it and it's promoting their OnlyFans account?
Oh yeah, all the time.
And that's a huge...
So like I get called out, especially like men who stumble upon my account and like are new to my account, immediately not trusting, being like, oh no, like you're jumping on a trend. Like men's mental health is trendy. What's the link in bio? And so there's lots of those sorts.
So that's the algorithm feeding that more Manosphere content from seeing your stuff.
And like then the other piece of this is like I think more around like like I said earlier, like that void, like what is the void that this is filling for men? Like what is the need that's being addressed? And I mean, it's not like I have this like huge social media presence, but I have a fairly engaged audience of men who are curious about therapy and like men who are willing to maybe tap into some vulnerabilities. And regularly I get duplicate spam accounts. So people who show up, change the username a little bit, showing up as me, my profile, they're downloading my content, and then DMing, like following my followers, then DMing them as me saying like, hey, thank you so much. How can I help? Pay me for this. Come talk to me over here. Like preying upon these like men who are just like looking for support and to be seen. Like this happens all the time. So there's this other part of me that's like, there's such a need for and a demand, maybe even more. Like there's such a demand from men to like get this sort of support and connection that my account is being used as like a workaround to prey upon men.
Like men are so wanting connection and purpose and belonging. And like this is the thing that's like so hypocritical about Andrew Tate is like Andrew Tate, who's like the postal child of the red pilled manosphere, who's probably the most popularly problematic. Even when I go to high schools and speak about him, sometimes I've had students chant and cheer his name, Top G, Top G, Top G. And then after the assembly, like they come talk to me and they're like, what do you actually think about his human trafficking? Like they actually wanted to know, but they just going with their friends. But then a lot of times when I'm with higher grade 12s, often they laugh at Andrew Tate. But anyways, like he has made no small secret that like he, like one of his big businesses was getting his girlfriends to like do stuff online. And then him and his brother would be like chatting and like milking these lonely, sad men for all of their money. And it's like to think that these guys have your best, some like they're not all the same, but like to think that these red pill guys have people's best boys and men's best intentions.
That they want to help you.
Yeah, like I'm sure there's some of them that think, oh, this genuinely was helpful for me.
Yeah.
There might be some of them that believe that. But I would say it's like, oh yeah, you're just making that profit because everything's about money. And so I was like, it kind of seems like they're caring for boys and men. And it's right now there's a huge vacuum for boys and men feeling cared for because there's way more critiques about boys and men. So there is a vacuum that they're filling, but they are like, they're exploiting boys and men in that process.
I know, but so then what I think about is like the process of men getting out of that because it's almost like this like toxic abusive relationship. Like there's a lot of reasons why you get in. It like feeds these needs. You're seen. You feel cared for. Like finally somebody like
finally someone's saying it and not worrying about being politically correct all the time.
So they're in, and then we clearly have a lot of critique about it. Like we, you know, even like the phrases I think depending on who's saying it of like manosphere and red pill and the ways that it is even like publicly portrayed. Like there's charge around that. So like to be like, again, fucking empathy.
But here's the thing. They're going to use that immediately to show how every society is just going to attack boys and men. Like, that's why I don't love using the word manosphere to refer to everything because then like everything that a man likes is now a red flag. Like there's way more nuance to a lot of that stuff. And so like, that's the danger. I think like when the movie Adolescent came out and like the UK wanted to show in schools because there was just like fear mongering and I'm like, this is going to backfire. Yeah. And it immediately the red pilled part of the movement was like, see, like they just want to demonize. This is another huge war and attack on boys and men. And it's like, you're just feeding into their whole game plan. And I also just want to highlight that teenagers who consume more red pilled content are exposed to more of it, have a higher optimism for their futures and the future of society.
So like, where do we expect these boys and men to go?
100% to like the on-ramp stuff.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know you're not saying it this way, but like so many boys and men care so much about humans. Like I don't think that they're seeking out like that anti-woman content.
Me neither. But let me just clarify. You just said that those who view more red pill content have more hope.
More optimism.
More optimism for the future. So like
about their futures and like the future of society.
Okay. So like, why would they turn anywhere else?
Because it's more uncomfortable to sit in the fucking gray, to sit with it, like someone telling you this is like go to all of your.
But it feels good.
Because dopamine and like reward systems, like it feels good exactly, but it doesn't give you.
But how do we?
Belonging.
Okay, but how the hell are we supposed to communicate that if men who are in the man box, right? Like, which we mean like sort of filling the like traditional or like rigid roles of masculinity? I know it's tricky. I know.
Yeah, it's good because like whenever I talk about like the 3 most harmful messages of masculinity, which is if you are rigid around them, you need to restrict your emotions, need to be hyper independent, and need to be dominant.
Yep.
I always get boys and men to defend those things because human behavior starts for a reason.
Yep.
So I don't want to pathologize every aspect.
Right. But the more like strictly and aggressively
Of like women should not do anything other than breastfeed and nurse and take care of my meals.
Yeah. Okay. So like if you're very
rigid
with that, you have the less rigid you are about that, the less purpose a man feels like he has in life.
Yeah.
Even though those who are rigidly in that box have higher rates of suicide.
And not just that, just like poor psychological well-being overall.
But like
So like this is the perception gap. It's like,
but isn't perception reality? Like,
well, it is. This is why, like,
if like the perception is I feel better, and you're like gonna hand him a study and be like, actually, studies show that you probably feel worse like this, and he's like, fuck off, like I'm good. I have more hope for the future.
Yeah.
And then I'm showing up being like, I've got a slightly different take, and dudes are like, oh wow, cool, and then immediately they're funneled into this onto this on ramp. Apparently, I'm part of the on ramp, and I didn't even realize I was part of the on ramp.
But
the algorithm.
Can't the on ramp also be the off ramp? Like that's actually what a lot of the movement is, which is like we also
but is it
need,
actually working that way? Like it is the algorithm actually?
That's why I think a recent, I don't know if it was a study or just an article. It was either a position paper or actually a study that found like we don't just need better messaging, we just need more of it because it's just a small drop. And like this is
okay.
Like to mention like Man Enough, Justin Baldoni's podcast, which has ended.
Yep.
Like when I go around to schools, like people are quite saddened by that because they viewed it as like one of the main islands in the midst of other things. And so there's just so much less messaging. Like the teenage boys, most of my conversations around Andrew Tate with teenage boys have been them bringing it up. And like, hey, what's your opinion about this? That's the very first time. And
I'll be honest, a lot of the conversations I have with men are them coming to me and saying like, not Andrew Tate, but I'll often get like, what do you think of Jordan Peterson? Like, what do you think of,
or Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, exactly. And so like, and there's like genuine curiosity. It's not, it doesn't feel like a trap.
Yes, but I think in society, everything's like, oh, Joe Rogan, red flag.
Yeah.
Like immediate.
Yeah.
And there's no one having those conversations, and that's what puts them even more into those spaces. Right.
But I do think that, like, I love those conversations. I love being able to, like, if there's just curiosity is, we don't have enough of that. Like a bigger dose of curiosity would go such a long way because those just tend to be they're so interesting to me. Like when I'm able to work with men or talk to men who've enjoyed like that Manosphere content or feel like they gained something from it or just like felt lost. And it was like, well, this was giving me some direction because I felt hopeless and I felt without purpose. And I, maybe it was because I lost a job or a relationship ended or health issues have limited my physical abilities, whatever it might be, like some major disruption in life. And when content like that gives such clear direction, that feels good. And I love being able to talk about that. And then honestly, to talk about how other content for men can feel really bad. Like I think the counter to that, I feel like some of my visceral responses to like call it counter manosphere content for men is I cringe a lot or I'm disappointed. I'm like, this isn't, who are we reaching? Who are you talking to? Who's this helping? Because I don't, not only is there not as much of it, but I worry the way that we're going about it is like not actually for men, like whether it's performative or it's for women or.
I put some more onus on adult men for this.
Yeah.
Because like, I think so many men and boys at such a young age get disconnected from themselves. Like emotionally and spiritually are disconnected. And so it gives a space for like the teenage years of like, what do I go for? I go for what gives me status amongst my male friends and all these things. And that really perpetuates a lot in the more problematic parts of the manosphere.
Yeah.
And so to reconnect like with things that you've been disconnected from a long time is way more difficult.
Oh my gosh, so hard.
Like but that's why like the entry points are often like around like what type of father do you want to be, like showing up with your kids, or like what type of like what are your actual values? Because I think so many times we can live our whole lives. Another reason why I left academia is because I had this epiphany during my PhD, where I was like, I actually won't be able to rest the rest of my life until I'm dead. And I was like, yeah, I'm never going to achieve what I want to achieve in academia. Like, when can I rest? I was like, okay, actually, there's no end to it, because it's always going to be another publication. It's always going to be something else, and it didn't feel life-giving for me. And it's like sometimes we don't stop and think, like, or we're trapped. It's like, what is the solution? And we don't know what the solution is. And most teenage boys I work with don't like what the red pill movement is selling, but they feel stuck. And the two main reasons they feel stuck, and where we can offer something else, is they don't know how to change, or they feel like society still doesn't actually want or isn't ready for boys and men to be outside of this box. And that's what the red pill really hones in on that one. It's like, oh yeah, you think that women actually want a man in touch with his emotions? No, they want this good-looking money. It's all boiled down to these little elements. And there's some truth in it. There wouldn't be any sway if there wasn't some truth in it.
There's absolutely some truth to that.
Yeah, but it's like so less fulfilling of a life.
Okay, but like, can we actually get to, like, you identified, like, doing, like, getting back in touch with, like, who you want to be as a dad and who you are as a person? Can we do that on a broad scale? Like, this is why I'm so happy every single time I get a message from...
I thought you were just going to end your sentence there. This is why I'm so happy. I was
no,
like,
unfortunately,
tell
no.
all of the advice.
No, every time I get a DM from some guy who's been following me for a while and was like, I was anti-therapy. I never thought I would do this. I didn't think it was for me. And like, I just had my first session with a therapist. I found them on your directory. Thank you so much. Like, you know, hearing from therapists even who are getting clients from this directory being like, these guys, like, they don't necessarily have the therapy sort of like vernacular, like they're not in that world, but like they want to do the work. And it feels like that to me is like, okay, that's where it can happen. Yeah. But then we like kind of pan over to like Manosphere content, and it's like, oh wow, you got like this entertaining content that's just like, here's the answer. That's so much simpler than how about therapy for this? Am I frustrating you?
No, this is beautiful. But like, what's so frustrating about the Manosphere is that the men in it are so great at dedicating their lives to physical discomfort, like of pushing through pain, of pushing and working out and discipline around that. Yeah. It's like awesome. I want to honor that aspect of it, not because muscles are the end of the world, but discipline is great. But like, let's just expand that. Like expand that to, instead of just the norms of protector and provider being physical protection and financial provision, can we provide emotional safety for the people in our lives? Can we provide emotional safety for ourselves? And like, I think we do need way more of those positive messages.
But how do we sell that?
Well, if you buy my book, and here's the thing that like Andrew Tate has a course. I don't know if I should talk about his course. It's called like The Real World, and it's like wake up from your pathetic little lives. And so like, he insults boys and men about where they are in life. And that actually feels empowering. So we got to wait. Why does that feel empowering? One is because I think a lot of boys and men, that reflects how a lot of boys and men speak to themselves.
1,000%.
And because that's how they experienced it.
Tough love, right?
Yeah, and we know that parents have a harsher tone of voice when speaking to boys than when girls. Yep. Even if they've switched the genders and adults don't know. It's double-blind test experiments that way. So yes, boys are so much more used to love being yelled at to them.
Yeah, and like thinking that's the way.
Yeah. So I just need to yell.
So we just need to yell more? I mean, I can do that.
But like, I've changed my opinion. Like, I've talked about the 3 most harmful messages of masculinity. And there's this debate, let's get rid of masculinity altogether. And I think that's bullshit, because that is so not appealing. And it also doesn't speak to like the story. Masculinity matters, regardless whether you like it or not. So it's like, it's just like, I kind of want to take some research here from dieting culture. Is that if you want to eat healthier foods, it's not restricting, it's adding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like, here is my criteria for simpler messages if I was raising a son about the masculinity to aim for, because I think there's value in having an ordered purpose. And then I don't care if someone wants to deconstruct any of those things and find out their own path. But like what I would say is masculinity or being a man is about building safety for yourself and for others. And that's safety. You gotta, it requires emotional intelligence to know how this safety be built. So I'm gonna use an example of working out. My wife doesn't care whether I work out or not, but she does care, I found this out, if I say I'm working out and then don't. Because for her, that's not safe, that I won't follow through on my word.
Yep.
And so building safety can absolutely connect to physical fitness and financial provision. But
it's also, it's trust.
It's trust and like emotional safety. Like that's why that's why Gen Z is the most romantically and sexually divided of any gender, of any generation in American history, is also because of this red pill movement of girls being like, red pill movement has destroyed the dating. Like there's no man I want to connect with because they have this terrible restrictive view of women. So safety, building safety. This is a process. These aren't check boxes. So that's my unfortunate selling point. Is that
It's not as flashy.
Checkbox.
No,
because as soon as it becomes a checkbox,
gotta work on the branding.
It goes back to the beginning of this conversation. Either I'm healing the world or I'm not. Either I'm showing up authentically or I'm not. And that's just another type of fundamentalism, dualism. So build safety, show up, means like be dependable, like follow through on your word. I think a lot of men already believe that's important. Follow through on your word, show up for your community, but also show up at the gym when you don't want to, but show up for uncomfortable conversations when you don't want to. Show up for accountability. And then the third is give a damn. And this one, I think I actually love working with boys and men that like disagree with me a ton, because I often feel like those are the guys that give a damn. Like I actually would rather have a guy give a damn about something I disagree with
than
be like
apathetic and
like
not
it's
give
not
a
that
shit.
deep, bro.
Yeah.
It's just being their whole mantra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are the three things that I think that the academic and the people in this masculinity space have to be less deconstructive, and we have to reconstruct something. And it's going to be imperfect. And that's why there's a hesitancy to reconstruct things around like how to be a man, because we can always critique it. We can always be like, these are just human qualities. Shouldn't women also build safety, show up? It's like, yeah, absolutely. But
Sure.
I think sociologically, the messages I would tell for women would be different, because how boys and men grow up in the world is different. Like the fact that like being a protector and provider, the Manosphere will agree with me that men should be protectors and providers. So I'm speaking right now to the Manosphere. What is the goal of protection and provision? Is the goal, sure, survival? But really, what's the point of survival is that you're building safety. And if the number one experience of women in this world with men is around not feeling safe, like, holy fuck, shouldn't that tell us something that the way people experience men in the world is so anti this protector and provider? I grew up most of my life hating myself. And I thought that that was the way for healing. Like, why would I not hate myself? Like, isn't the way to be good is to like strangle the part of me that's terrible? And it felt like it was working for a while. And then I realized it was not. And so it's like, I will never like tell a red-pilled man that like, sure, some of his beliefs are fucking terrible and horrifying and dehumanizing, but like, yeah, for me, the hill I'll die upon is just like, I choose to believe people are good inside and calling into their compassion. I'm never gonna be like, you fucking pathetic person. I'm gonna be like, you fucking pathetic person deserve so much love. And it's like, I don't think you're a pathetic person, but like, yeah, we need to change some things here that are deeply problematic. Love, I know, feels weaker, But if I think about like, man, is it easier to hate myself or love myself? It's like love is way harder.
So much harder.
Yeah. So like that's my like challenge of like to these men in these spaces of like, oh, it's easier to blame everyone. It's easier to blame women. And sometimes for women, it's easier to blame men too, but we're not talking about.
No, we're not. We're talking about the Manosphere today.
Yeah. It's just like, it's easier to feel like you have purpose if it's a checkbox. Because it's like either you're doing it or you're not.
Yeah,
but like building
I know
safety,
this.
I have to constantly check in with my wife if I'm building safety with her. And it's like, oh, that's a constant thing. It's like, oh, I can't just like.
It's so much more work. It's so much more work.
Yeah. And so I think red pill people are great at stepping into a challenge. Just step into a different fucking one.
But it's going to feel harder. I think it's like that. I think it's going to feel harder before it feels better.
Yes. And if I use the teenage boys in my PhD research, 3 groups: the willing adherers, the reluctant adherers, and the resistors to the man box, essentially, is that all of the people that went from reluctant adhering to resistors, they all thought it was going to be way worse than it actually was.
Yeah.
They thought they were going to lose their friend groups. They thought, so like it might be worse, but also it's going to be helpful the more people do it, like the more critical mass there
I don't
is.
actually think it'll be worse. I think it, like you said, like it feels easier. It feels easier. And I challenge my clients all the time. Like it's familiar, you know it, but like you're not on my couch right now if it's easy. Like something's not working.
Yeah.
And similarly, like when I oftentimes work with clients who've never been in therapy before, and there's so much fear going into that first session. And then I often, like the relief after just even the first conversation we ever have, they did not know that was possible, but still it is really fucking hard.
Yeah.
It is a huge risk. It is against the grain. It is counter to everything a lot of these men know. And in a lot of ways, like that is not easier than what you've done your whole life, even if it's felt fucking awful.
Yeah.
At least it's an evil you know.
Yeah. And this also speaks to that life isn't an algorithm of getting to this certain point. Like you could do all of the more healthy things, like the things that actually demonstrably like lead to better relationships, which is like having more, seeing someone else as a human fully and giving more agency, like, and being more emotionally expressive. That has super positive outcomes. But you could do all of that and your environment isn't helpful for it. Or like you do all of that and it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Like and I think so many times it's like the red pills, like Manosphere views like feminists or male feminists especially as like, you're just doing that to get laid.
Yeah.
It's like, you have to not do it for the outcome, but also know that the outcome, that there are like the number one thing in my research was like almost all the boys said the same word about having someone in their lives to emotionally express to was like a weight off the shoulders.
Yeah.
And they're like, actually to trust that you're not burdening other people, that other people actually want to hear that from you. Like that is so paradigm shifting to them. It's like hard to build that trust, but they're getting more and more reps in every time that they have safe people that they get to do that with.
Yep.
And
can I make a plug for therapy?
Sure.
On that note, because yes, I get it. Like you're paying for someone to listen. You're paying for someone to care. I would argue that you pay for my time. Like my heart is free, but you get the reps in a space where you have this like built-in legal, ethical confidentiality.
Yeah.
Like your therapist is there. None of their shit is in the room. So it's simpler than showing up in a relationship where it might be a little bit messier. And even if it is just to get the reps in, like even ideally you find a therapist you want to work with that like you feel like you can actually connect to.
Yeah.
But like to just even know, what does it even feel like to like show up and maybe you never do it again, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe you're like, fuck this, no thank you. Try it. And because I think a lot of men I work with are like, what's safe relationships? Right. And I hear that online in my comment section, like talk to someone, reach out, connect. Who?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that would be great. Like who am I going to turn to? And knowing that like that's where I see therapy as like a relationship can be such a valuable place to start.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a reason that the Manosphere content is as popular as it is, that has the fun sound bites that it has, that there's even an umbrella term for it. Because what are we offering? What's the alternative that we're offering? Like you said, like the podcast Man Enough was maybe something, like a beacon of light of like, oh, maybe we'll get more stuff like this.
Yes. But we need, like, I'm so against, like, even like people who like uphold like this celebrity, that this celebrity will save us, like whether it's like Pedro Pascal or what are some other like prominent, like their healthy masculinity in a nutshell.
I mean, Pedro Pascal's
Okay.
probably the best example.
Okay. It's like, or like Travis Kelce even.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. It's like
The Kelce brothers.
the Kelce brothers. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, they're modeling a lot of things, but like for a while there's a narrative like we need to counter Andrew Tate. Mm-hmm. It's like,
Or like the Joe Rogan of the left.
yeah, but then if you actually listen to Joe Rogan's followers, he's like, do you realize how left Joe Rogan is?
Right.
And he is on a lot of
Well,
different
that's
issues.
the joke is like, who's the Joe Rogan of the left? Like, well, it was Joe Rogan.
Yeah. And like then this makes more animosity or more divisions. So people are wanting just like counters. But it's like that's still like kind of operating in the same paradigm. It's like you're just trying to like like that's the paradigm. If I just tell men like you're pitiful guys, like you need to step up in these types of ways. This is what women actually want. Like that is just the opposite thing. But like it needs a whole paradigm shift. Like it needs to be a community. It needs to be a critical mass. You need, well, it depends on the research, but like for like social movements, for like any revolutions in a society, you need around 2% of the population to participate in it. And in any organization or like school system, you need around 30% of this population to buy into it. So you don't need everyone, but like we need more people that
We need more people willing to say, I care about men.
yes.
I mean, I would say in a nutshell, like that's part of what the Manosphere does is like they're caring about men.
Yeah, I actually just met the author of a book called, like a couple years ago, he wrote it before the last election, of like how the Democrats can win back the male voters. And there was just similar themes of like, they don't feel like anyone cares.
Right.
And so again, so much of my work on emotions is like men thinking that they're not emotional. And it's like, you don't realize how emotional you actually are.
Right.
And it's like, so the perception gap really is everything.
But that is why my content quickly links to the Manosphere content, because I am showing up with different messages, but I'm showing up giving a shit about men.
Yeah.
And how much content, how many podcasts, how much information, how many people are showing up stating that.
Because it quickly gets into the suffering contests.
Right.
And sometimes for good reason. Like some of the most male feminists in the world have flipped 180. Like one very prominent is now like loudly an anti-feminist. And so it's like, okay, he was for everyone, but then now it's like, okay, boys and men are the disadvantaged ones. And was also like one of the most prominent male feminists of all time, like had to resign. Caring about boys and men.
It's not popular to care about boys and men right now.
But that is the narrative that the red pill thrives on. And there's truth to it, because most of my work, before I can talk about, like my mission statement on my website is like, imagine a world where the well-being of boys and men isn't at odds or positioned against others, but is woven into the well-being of all.
Yeah.
Bit wordy, but it's like so much of my work is actually lowering the temperature in the room to be like, I'm not against anyone here. Before we can be like supporting boys and men, it's like, we're not against, we're together. And that's the huge draw of the Manosphere, is that so many boys and men feel disenfranchised, and they speak to that, and no one else is speaking to that. So yes, there is truth in the Manosphere. And
I mean, as much as I say, like, it's not popular to speak up and care about boys and men, I mean, I made a life of it. Like, I made a career of it. And so
grifter.
Yeah, I'm just a pick me. I think that I hope that there's more room for it. I hope there's more room for us to actually have these conversations without all of the like disclaimers. Like that's some of the shit that I like. I love the statement on your website. I think that is beautiful, but I do think you have to like enter a room or like start a talk, be like, let me qualify where I stand on all these things before I then tell you that the mental health of boys and men is important.
Yeah.
And like that says a lot about where we're at. And I think why it's difficult to get, you know, a version of the Manosphere that is talking about some of the things that we hope more boys and men are able to talk about.
Yeah. So if you are in the Manosphere, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Or if you know someone that is,
come talk to us.
Yeah. Tell us your experiences of being in the red pilled, getting out of it.
I think that is hard though, like men getting out of it, because I think there's a lot of like shame and judgment that we even have against the messaging and like we've covered today, like for good reason. But then, I don't know, I imagine it would be hard for a man who like was in that and felt supported by that to then come out of it and feel able to like talk about that in a way that wasn't like shaming.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
tough.
We need new stories for boys and men. We need different stories.
Yeah, we gotta update these stories aggressively.
Yeah.
Appreciate you tuning in for another episode of This Triggers Me. I'm Audra. You can find me on social media at Dr. Audra Horney.
And I'm Brendan. You can find me remasculine.com, and that's my socials as well. Look forward to seeing you and hearing your thoughts on this episode.